Thank you, Maaike, and good morning, everybody. I'm really delighted to be here with you in Edinburgh, and I'm deeply honored to speak at this third edition of the European Chatbots and Conversational AI Summit. Maaike introduced me. My name is Hilde Hartman. I work for the European Commission, where I lead the Publications Office of the European Union. The Publications of the European Union. What do we do, will you ask? Well, we make it known to the public what the EU does and means, and we help unlock the power of data. And at the very core of our mandate is the task to authenticate and publish EU law to give it legal effect, very much like the King's Printer in the United Kingdom or the US Government Publishing Office in the United States. I visited yesterday here the Registry of Scotland. They told me how on the acts that are adopted, the King, the Queen before now, the King signs, they put a huge seal in wax. For the European Union, it's one of my colleagues who puts an electronic signature and we publish it, and the law becomes law binding on us all. Now, when announcing this summit, the organizers of this event said, and I quote, "We believe conversational AI will transform millions of lives in Europe, and our goal is to help form a better ecosystem." Now, at the Publications Office of the European Union, we believe that conversational AI can help us to deliver better, more impactful services to our citizens, the economy, and our society as a whole. And that is why we have turned to conversational AI in our work, trying to make the most of the opportunities it offers, while being fully aware of the challenges and seeking to address the risks it brings. AI is for us not a goal in itself. It's the basis for new and better services inside our office and for our clients in the real world. And today I would like to share with you how we at the EU Publications Office and in the EU Public Administration in general see the opportunities, challenges and risks that come from chatbots and conversational AI, and how we seek to deal with those as users, catalyzers and regulators. Now, chatbots are increasingly part of our society. Contextual conversation is everywhere. We use it and we accept it. Technological companies are investing in technologies to further improve user experience, and public administrations are developing and deploying chatbots to transform how they deliver services to the public. Public administrations do so to achieve multiple goals: automatizing routine tasks, reducing response time, ensuring accessibility for citizens with disabilities, offering 24/7 availability, providing personalized services, and ultimately further increasing citizen satisfaction and, very importantly, citizens' societal engagement. Clearly, there are ample opportunities for public administrations to further increase citizens' engagement through AI. Public administrations can use chatbots to reach out to citizens for feedback, opinions, perspectives, to better understand their needs and concerns, and thereby to further strengthen societal involvement and ultimately bolster democracy and the rule of law. At the EU Publications Office, along with other EU institutions such as the European Court of Justice, several EU member states, such as Luxembourg, Estonia, or Portugal, for example, we all use conversational AI to power search on our information portals. And we aim to ensure full interoperability between all these efforts so that we can build a strong EU-wide network of trusted public data and information. This should help citizens and businesses to make the most of all the opportunities the EU community of values and of law and the EU single market offer to them. But let's zoom in for a moment on our work at the Publications Office on how we use conversational AI and what are the challenges we meet. At the EU Publications Office, we offer access to our services through our chatbot, Publio, which is still in its initial stages, but developing fast. Our aim is twofold. First, to be available 24/7 and accessible for all citizens, also for persons with disabilities. And secondly, to facilitate personalized access to EU and EU member states' legislation and policy information in the language citizens speak. We want to further develop this approach so that we can offer personalized services for each individual business or organization. Now, this is challenging in itself because the public we cater for is very diverse, from the baker on your street to the judge, from the startup to the multinational, from teenagers to pensioners. And on top of that, the EU's multilingual context with 24 official languages that all have equal weight legally, from languages like English and Spanish that are among the most spoken languages in the world, to far less spoken languages like Maltese or Irish. This, of course, adds to the complexity, and we must serve all our citizens equally well, whether they speak Spanish or Maltese. This means that we have to try and overcome the significant imbalances in coverage and quality that AI-based systems provide across languages due to the very different bases for machine learning they can build on in each case. But the challenges we face go well beyond these practical issues. The concerns linked to AI are well known. Chatbots can learn harmful behavior from their interactions with us, humans, such as aggressive, sexist, or racist language. They can amplify or perpetuate bias and prejudice. They can struggle with contextualization or go into hallucination when they try to answer questions without adequate training input. They can put privacy and security at risk. And further concerns are precision, reliability, and so is liability. Now, for public administrations, citizens' trust is key. And as we all know, trust is hard to win and very easy to lose. So addressing the ethical and legal challenges that using conversational AI may bring is therefore absolutely essential. So how do we seek to do so as the European Union's public administration? Maike already pointed to it. Respect for human dignity, the rule of law, human rights and fundamental freedoms are at the core of what the European Union is about. The democratically adopted treaties that establish the European Union set out the aims of the European Union. That is to promote peace, its values, and the well-being of its citizens. And these treaties also define the values on which the EU is founded: respect for human dignity, freedom, democracy, equality, the rule of law, and respect for human rights, including the rights of persons belonging to minorities. If you don't know it, I really advise you look at the Treaty on the European Union, Article 2 and 3, and I think many of you may be amazed about what is written there. The European Union wants citizens and businesses to be able to make the most of all benefits AI can bring, while ensuring that AI systems are developed, deployed, used, and monitored in full respect of EU values. And we call this a human-centered approach. At the core of the values that underpin the EU and its human-centered approach to AI is respect for human dignity. Now, what does that mean, respect for human dignity? It means many things. Respect for human dignity is about ensuring safety and security, ensuring respect for privacy, protection of personal data, absence of discrimination. But it's also about respect for our environment, for the entire ecosystem of which we human beings are part today, but also for future generations. And it is about human autonomy, freedom, and opportunities to learn, develop, take initiative for everybody. AI that respects human dignity must be trustworthy. And that means that AI must first be lawful, that is, it has to comply with all applicable laws and regulations. Secondly, it has to be ethical, it has to adhere to ethical principles and values. And third, it has to be robust, that is, fit for purpose from a technical and from a societal perspective. So how do we translate this concept of human-centric, trustworthy AI into characteristics that we can really apply to AI systems in practice? An independent expert group set up by the European Commission translated this concept into 7 principles or characteristics. And I think it's worth briefly running through them together. And if I'm right, they're there also on the screen. Now, the first characteristic of trustworthy AI is human agency and oversight. Users must be able to understand in full that they interact with a machine. And chatbots have to disclose their identity. There must be human oversight at all times. Secondly, trustworthy AI is based on the technical robustness and safety of software. Chatbots must be designed with security in mind. They must function properly and predictably, and if a system is corrupted, which might happen, humans must be able to take over immediately. Third, trustworthy AI must ensure privacy and good data governance. Citizens must keep full control of their data in line with the EU's General Data Protection Regulation. Fourth, trustworthy AI requires transparency. Data sets and processes must be documented, traceable, explainable, and interpretable. And we know that past a certain point, AI systems may produce results for which the decision-making is not fully understood, the so-called black box effect. Now, we seek to address this for our chatbot with an explainability notice, explaining our rationale for using AI, documenting input data and its quality, explaining related processes, and also providing guidance on how you can interpret outcomes. I continue it, I'm almost finished, but it's 7 principles. So fifth, trustworthy AI must ensure diversity, non-discrimination, and fairness. The design of AI must avoid unfair bias. Chatbots must be culturally sensitive and appropriate for the intended audience. You don't talk to a child like you would talk to a solicitor. So the chatbots need to understand what is their audience and adapt. The sixth characteristic of trustworthy AI relates to societal and environmental well-being. So chatbots must be able to personalize their interactions with users, and their ecological and societal footprint must be kept under control. And then finally, and that's very important, trustworthy AI must go accompanied with clear lines for accountability and liability, along with mechanisms for redress. And these 7 principles are the basis for the EU regulatory framework for trustworthy AI that the European Commission has proposed. And at this moment, the EU co-legislators, as we call them, because in the EU, legislation is proposed by the Commission, but it is adopted by our democratically elected European Parliament and by the Council of the European Union that represents the member states. So our co-legislators are at this moment debating this piece of law. So it does not yet exist. We have not yet published it on our site. It's not yet in force. It's coming into existence. This emerging EU regulatory framework for AI is crucial for a coherent approach to AI throughout the Union. It's fundamental for the use of AI in the EU and in EU public administration in particular. Now, a word on the thing that is on everybody's mind and in all conversations. How do latest developments in generative AI affect our work? Just a few months after its launch, ChatGPT has become one of the fastest growing consumer products, with more than 100 million active monthly users in January 2023 alone. It has prompted competitors to speed up their AI rollout plans. And important for us here in the room, it's giving what you could call a renewed, reinforced lease of life to the conversational AI sector. So what is the impact on us as a trusted public sector data and information provider in the European administration? Now, insofar we can assess the situation today, ChatGPT certainly has the potential to offer opportunities for far better services. But at the same time, it carries risks. And I think in particular, when it comes to managing our customers' expectations and safeguarding citizens' trust. If we look at the large EU legal sites, such as our flagship site, YourLex, which has around 60 million visitors every year, users could come to expect, and we providers could also be tempted to use a mechanism like ChatGPT, not just to reply to questions for information, but to create responses to legal questions. That is, that users might come to expect that they can call upon a virtual lawyer. But ChatGPT and generative general purpose AI might generate content in response to users' legal questions that is real looking, but completely inaccurate. It might look like real, but it could be in fact bullshit. So even if trained on carefully labeled and curated data, such as the authentic legal data that we publish at the EU Publications Office, that is a risk that today cannot totally be avoided. And that is why, at this point, we have not decided going this way. Still, we are looking carefully at developments, and we will certainly try to make the most of further opportunities that arise from technological developments as and when they present themselves. And of course, the authentic data that we make available as a trusted provider of EU legal data and information is there for all who wish to develop and offer services on that basis, reuse these data to offer new services, combining the trustworthy data that we provide with further knowledge and expertise that they may be able to bring on their side. I would like to add that we are also looking into the possibility of blending what you could call the conversational glue that a system like ChatGPT brings with the authentic data that we provide, but we are not there yet now. That is only a possible way forward, and whether we will take that way forward, I'm not in a position to tell you. So to conclude, I would like to conclude with a more personal consideration as an EU citizen and an EU official. We all know that democratic legitimacy and citizens' trust, our trust as citizens in the bodies that govern us, that this depends on how government and citizens, state and society interact. And technology helps to shape how this unfolds. Now, AI and democracy do not always look like natural allies. Still, the human-centered approach to AI, which the EU promotes, offers, in my view, unprecedented opportunities to strengthen democracy and the rule of law, to strengthen the democratic resilience of our societies, and ultimately to help improve people's lives. At the EU Publications Office, your Publications Office, we want to make the most of those opportunities, pragmatically and prudently, transparently and responsibly, raising awareness and piloting solutions based on our values. And we are convinced that the way we approach AI today will define the world in which we will live in the future. But clearly, we in our office, we cannot do so alone. We must, and we very much want to engage with all AI stakeholders, with citizens, reusers, and solution providers, with regulators, educators, very importantly, educators, and AI experts. In short, with you. Sorry. I look forward to our exchange here at this summit and beyond, and I am absolutely confident that together we can build a truly human-centric ecosystem and transform millions of lives in Europe. I'm confident that together we can change the world for the better. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much. Oh, can I have a mic later on? I can share the lecture now, right? I think we have time for perhaps 1 or 2 questions from the audience, if there are any. Any hands? Any takers online? Otherwise, I have a question. Let's see. Where is my online posse? Can anyone else see whether there are any online questions? Let me ask my question first, because, of course, as a practitioner, I'm very, very curious. Like, okay, a big official body. How do you do conversational in your daily practice? How do people work? And could you perhaps elaborate on that a little bit?
Absolutely, Maaike. Well, I am rather new at the publications office. I started a year and a half ago, a little less than a year and a half ago. And when I came to the office, I found a community of practice that already existed. And I think I put personally a lot of energy and effort in this community of practice because I think that it is important that everybody in an organization like the EU Publications Office is aware of the opportunities, the challenges, the risks that AI brings, and can think on this together. So we have a community of practice that functions in concentric circles. We have the core with the techies, right? The core with the people who really work on the technicalities, know how to design a chatbot, know which technologies to use, know how to do that. But then we have a second circle, which is a wider circle that has also our lawyers, everybody who wants to be part of this circle. I feel myself very actively part of this circle as well. That's the circle that reflects on explainability, on what can we do with this, how should we do it, what is the accountability we have, how do we translate that accountability into something tangible that our users can use. And then the third circle, and I think that's very important, includes everybody of the office. From our printers, we have printers in the office, graphic designers, proofreaders, IT people, any profession that you need, linguists, many linguists, to make a business like this, if I can call it like that, going. So everybody is part of the overall circle. Apologies, my hands. I need to put them behind my back. And I think that this is really crucial to have the diversity that you're looking for. Okay, you can say diversity, you're all officials of the European Commission, but still we come from quite diverse backgrounds. To look from every possible perspective to make sure that what you produce, for instance, in terms of explainability notices, is not just understandable for the engineers or not just understandable for the lawyers, but is understandable for the public, the very diverse public that we are catering for. And I think that that is a very important element in how we work. So involving everybody in your organization, going from technical, bringing in the overall management and bringing in everybody to really think, what does this mean, how will we make the most of that, and how do we make sure that we can reach everybody in an appropriate, accountable way, because accountability is really absolutely crucial. And that's how I met Maaike, because my colleagues invited Maaike one day as an expert to come and talk with our office-wide community of practice, and that was extremely enriching. So I would also hope very much that in future we can call on a number more of you to come and talk to us and give us your perspective and make sure that we really are in the picture and think on all the important things that are happening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.